What's the old saying? Better late than never. Well, it's not never, but we are on the air. We've made it. It is Facebook Live. I'm Brian Main. It is Garden America. Tiger Palafox, John Begnasco. Welcome those on BizTalk Radio. You're starting on time because you have nothing to do really with what's going on live. We package this show up, make sure that it's good to go for our friends on BizTalk Radio. We are back on the air. Happy weekend to you. John is here. He's excited to be here. Tiger. And Tiger, let's go to you first of all. And we got a little delay. We got on late, but you got us on finally.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you know, if you've watched the show enough, you've learned that sometimes connecting to Facebook isn't always the same. It could be the same 10 times in a row.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you wake up one day and number 11 is throwing you a curveball.
And there's updates, there's community standards, all kinds of things could play into it.
Because we break those communities. We push the envelope when discussing plants, the Facebook community standards.
That envelope has been pushed so far we can't even find it.
Those petals and stamens.
Petals and stamens.
And, all that fun stuff. You got to be careful what you say here on Facebook.
So I would imagine, a lot of people, they like to watch us prior to going on the air, those on Facebook. So it'll be a while until they catch up. But we are on the air. We are here, Facebook Live, BizTalk Radio. You ready to go, John?
I am. I had a good week till I got here.
Till you got but, explain yourself.
But I planted with my daughter Gina yesterday.
Nice.
We planted the area as you come up that's along the road.
Oh.
And we, originally it was going to be a long border.
Mm-hmm.
And we did something different.
Okay.
We have the first half of it is all drought-tolerant, succulent-type material.
Mm.
And we mix some avocado stumps in there. It looks pretty good.
Did you put topsoil on that whole area as well, or
no?
So you just left it the normal soil,
right?
And
I did mix some good mulch in with planting holes, just to help hold a little water.
Okay,
yeah. Gina wanted to set it up by textures.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. She talked about textures.
Yeah, textures and colors, and she was a little upset that we had no broadleaf textures to put in there. But with drought tolerant, there's not a lot of broadleaf because that's the whole point, right?
Exactly. The only place you're going to find those umbrella size leaves is in the tropics where they just rain and rain and rain. So
Gina figured it out. She said,
"Oh no,
good morning. I was commenting on an old live video." But now I'm here. I've got the right live. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit confusing till people catch up with us.
Yeah.
But we are in. Tanya says I'm in. Good. Now we've got more people tuned in.
Excellent.
So we
share
figured out
away.
The technical aspect of the show doesn't always go the way we'd like it to.
Nope.
That's the technical aspect, John.
So anyway, I got those things planned. I put some. I did get some protea mixed in with the planting, which was kind of interesting. Protea, leptospermum, some agaves. Just, it's interesting. You'll have to see when you come up.
It's so funny because I think it is Fallbrook. I think the farm is in Fallbrook where, that's a very popular cut flower for us.
Right.
And there are these huge farms that grow the protea flowers up in those areas. Supposedly they grow well in your area.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
They do really well.
Just naturally, not real you got to amend the soil. It's got to be this or that. It's just
no, they like poor soils. They really don't like heavy, rich soils.
By the way, the newsletter, those palm trees are yours?
Yeah.
That's a great picture with
that
the
was
moon.
the neighbors. I went out on my driveway and
they're right next door.
Yeah, it was just such a great sight that I
always
had
call
to
them
take
your
a picture
palm
of
tree
it.
neighbors.
Yeah. By the way, since you bring up pictures in the newsletter, there was a picture of a monarch butterfly on a buddleia, a butterfly bush, and it says Mario from Redwood City, and it was actually Eileen from El Granada.
Oh, goodness.
So I don't know if you're listening, Eileen, but if you are, thanks so much for sending it.
You get the credit.
She's like, wow, Mario got a picture of a butterfly just like I took.
Mine.
Wow.
Well, you know what the problem is occasionally I get somebody texts a picture to me, and I have no idea where it came from because it's just a
Text.
phone number.
Yeah.
But they texted to my email. Yeah.
Okay.
So on my email, I can't respond and say, who is this?
Yeah. Gotcha.
So I guess I could take that number and text that number and say, who are you?
Do a lot of detective
Who are you?
work.
What do you want?
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, we need to see something.
And then they'll think it's a scam and be like, stop calling me.
We need to see something from your backyard.
Yeah. You know what? I've got some good stuff now. So I
Interesting
was
stuff.
I was in there I was in the backyard this week and I was like, ooh, look at that. I have this really red plumeria that's in full bloom.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, it's really pretty. I'll take some pictures today.
Sure.
Post them.
You know, one of my plumeria that died during the winter was Lord Byron.
Oh, man. Bummer.
That's the exact reaction I had.
You've been killing a lot of things lately. You in a slump or what?
He's in a slump.
It happens. I'm in
But
a
you know
garden
what?
slump.
I'm killing them softly.
Garden
Okay, that's
slump.
okay then. Little Roberta Flack reference. That's good, John.
Yeah.
From 50 years ago.
That was the song they played at my cousin's wedding during the ceremony.
Really?
Yeah, wasn't that? Seemed like an odd choice.
Yes.
Really?
I don't know.
That is, you're right. That is an
Killing You
odd
Softly.
choice for a wedding. Like,
We've got a garden show today and a guest, Tiger, who we've had on before.
yeah, we're having a
Good
great
friend of
friend.
ours.
Yeah, good friend, Andrew Dannenberger from Fertilome and VPG.
Great picture. Him by the pool in the newsletter.
Lots of fun.
Him by the pool.
Him.
No, him by the pool. The picture of our guest today in the newsletter,
Yeah.
it's a picture of him in a pool.
It is.
Yeah, you look in
Yes.
the background.
No.
What?
See, you don't think we look at the details of your newsletter. It's a picture of him. It looks like he's on the side of the pool, popping his head up, and behind him you can see a pool and
Really?
yeah, background.
No, I guess I didn't notice.
Hey, those that are watching and listening, if you see the newsletter and see that picture, confirm that. Tiger's looking at it right now, right?
Yeah.
Well, I guess I could look at it too. But I think that. Oh. You
Well,
guys,
how about that?
you guys are right.
Yeah. It
By
is
golly.
just like a headshot.
Just a
but if you
headshot.
look at it
Yeah.
closely, you notice that he's.
In fact, we'll ask him where that was taken.
Yeah.
Where were you on vacation?
No, well,
So
no,
he represents Fertilome, great product. We use it. We have the little icon up there during our show. So
Yeah.
he'll
no
be our
wonder he
guest.
looks so happy.
Yeah, he's happy. He's in a pool.
Yeah, and we're going to be talking about kind of like disease control, plant diseases. It's funny because we think about those problems a lot through the summer when it's hot and humid. Rust,
Right,
mold, mildew, black spot, all that stuff. But as we get into the winter time, number one, there's a lot of ways that we can prevent it from happening in the spring and summer. And number two, there's still treatments you can do through the winter to help you to prevent the problem through the winter because we still get rain through the winter as well, where a lot of those fungal problems. So we'll talk about that and then some root rot issues too.
And then coming up this winter, John, do you have any idea if it's going to be another wet winter for us or what's going
You
on?
see all the news?
That's what they're.
I don't watch the news.
They're predicting a wet winter.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, did you see it though on the map? So it's an El Nino, right?
Right.
So it's a wet winter. And it goes from about Los Angeles up to like north of Sacramento area and then across the United States in this kind of like wave pattern. So we are supposed to be normal here in San Diego.
But starting
And
in
above-
LA?
Yeah, but above the Sacramento area, it's supposed to be normal too. It's just through the middle,
Just that band.
But you know how weather people are. I mean, that there's always deviations and little.
We're
things.
still going
We'll
to
see
get
what
rain.
happens.
I think it'll be a nice winter.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
It'll be fine.
Can you imagine 2 solid rain years in a row? What the trees and plants are all going to
Well,
do?
it excites us, and it should excite anybody who's a gardener because I didn't water for like 4 months.
right?
It's like, great, this is perfect.
All these water companies are. Oh shoot, we didn't make any money last
And
year.
I remember around late May, early June of this year, it's like, oh, crap, I got to water again. I got to get back on schedule.
Yeah, you forget.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I have to do, Tiger, is we had rain this week, right? Did you guys get rain down
A
here?
little drizzle.
Little
Yeah,
bit,
a
yeah.
little.
Yeah.
That's basically what we had
Yeah.
up there too.
Uh-huh.
And where you put the irrigation pipes, hooked up my drainage.
Okay.
It eroded that whole hillside.
Just that little bit?
Yeah, yeah. So
what? That was off your roof?
Right.
Wow.
So I'm thinking I can't leave it the way it is.
Didn't we put rocks? Remember there was those big
and the water came out of the rocks and then eroded the hillside down below it.
What?
We got to take a break. This sounds dramatic, John. And we're going to bring our guest on, Andy from Fertile Loam, so do stay with us. Hey, thank you those that tuned in a bit late on Facebook Live, because we were a bit late, but all is going good. Thank you to those on Biz Talk Radio. Going to take a break for Biz Talk Radio. Do stay with us. I'm Brian Main, John Begnasco, Tyler Palafox, right? He's gonna use Palafox, I guess, the rest of the year. Tiger Palafox back after these messages on Biz Talk Radio. Okay, we are back from the break. Thank you to those on Biz Talk Radio, those on Facebook Live, and more and more people joining us on Facebook Live after the slight delay this morning. But we are back. I'm Brian Main, Tiger Palafox, John Begnasco. We are ready to go. Going to be talking about a lot of good things this morning. Andy from Fertile Loam is here, Tiger, so let's do it.
All right. Good morning, Andy. Thank you for joining us this morning. Our good friend Andrew Dannenberger from Fertile Loam and VPG is joining us to talk about the time of year that we're in. Is going to be a lot of wet problems here for the plants. So, disease issues, mold, mildew, kind of coming out of the summer where we did have a humid and hot summer as well, where those problems were prevalent. Andy, thanks for joining us. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. How you guys all doing?
Good. Now, hey, Brian noticed, and I don't know if you saw the picture we included of you in the newsletter, but you were by a swimming pool, and it's just like a headshot. He wants to know if you know where you were at that time.
Well, I was in my backyard. Actually.
Hey,
there you go.
See,
on vacation in your backyard.
Yeah,
yeah, it was a staycation. It was probably an old picture, probably during COVID when we were all shut down and had to stay home and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, that's my backyard.
Hey, Andy, so how are things over there at Fertile Loam right now? Before we get into
thanks for asking. Appreciate that. Yeah, no, Fertile Loam is doing great. As we know, the last couple of years it's been interesting, and again, this year has been one of those years where it's recovery and trying to fight through inventory and stuff like that, but with weather implying so much stuff, we have always something to sell.
Yeah, right. I mean, whether it's a bug issue, a disease issue, a fertilizer issue, soil health issue, whether like you're saying, like there's always something that gardeners need during some type of problem, right?
Right.
We never get a day off.
No.
No, there's never a day off. I mean, between fertilizing and insects and diseases and fungus problems and all across the country, there's always. I mean, it's always weather related. Always weather related. So.
What was the big thing this spring across the country? Like, because I mean, being here in Southern California, we had kind of a mild, wet spring into summer, but did other parts of the country experience any huge problems that you're like, wow, these gardeners here in Kansas almost suffered a plague or something like that, like that we maybe didn't even know about, but you guys did?
There was an uptick on chinch bugs back east, I know how west, I don't know about you all, but out west there was a huge uptick on mosquitoes, primarily tiger mosquitoes.
Yeah, there you go, tiger.
Yeah, my fault.
Yeah, yeah. So it's somebody's fault, and yeah. Anyways, but yeah, it's it's a little bit it's different. When you in the back east, you have the areas where you do get a good amount of winter weather to where it kind of controls the population of insects, and then from there, it all depends on how far that extends or how short that window is, depending on what that bug or insect population or disease problem is going to be for the summer. So,
Andy, one of our viewers on Facebook, Lenore, says that she got some things from Fertilome. So there's a happy customer right there.
Oh, excellent. Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. So chinch bugs, mosquitoes. So let's kind of start chatting about people going into the wintertime. Let's start off with the most common here, Andy. We got rust, mildew, mold, and black spot. Those are probably the four most common disease problems that bother our plants no matter where you're at. What are the things that people need to think about using for those problems?
Well, right now going into fall, a lot of the trees and shrubs still have a lot of their leaves on it. And it depends on what part of the country you're in. In New England, they've already turned color. Here, they're still kind of green and won't turn color probably for another month or so. In the Southwest. So it really kind of depends. But this is, fall is that time of the year where it's cleanup time. You're going to clean up the diseases or the problems that you've had this year, and then moving forward, depending on what the weather looks like, you want to be prepared to apply or use products that prevent any diseases for next year.
Okay.
So leaf litter cleanup and pruning and things like that are what's on everybody's forefront right now going into winter. So when you're doing that sometimes prevents a lot of the diseases that may happen next year. And so, but yeah, we have some really cool products too that will also help along the way.
What are some of those products?
So we have a new one that we brought out a couple years ago. It's called Fungicide 5. And then, and I'm sure every listener out there has probably heard of copper fungicide, copper soap. Yeah. And that one's been around for a long time. But you can actually use both of these alternatively, and they give you a great organic or safe way of controlling diseases in people's yards.
Okay. What are the active ingredients in this one compared to the copper?
Yeah, so fungicide, I think everybody's probably heard of BT. Mm-hmm. BT is a Bacillus thuringiensis. It's a bacteria that helps control caterpillars. Well, fungicide 5 is another type of bacteria called BA, short for Bacillus amylocool liquefacients. So that one's a mouthful. So I'll have a test on that one later. But anyways, it is a fungicide and a bactericide. We call it fungicide 5 because it has 5 modes. And what that does is that in 5 different ways it controls fungus and bacteria on people's plants, on the plant itself, and so it's a great natural product to use. And way it works, if you want to get more details to it, is that it coats the leaves when you spray it on the leaves. And it takes up the space where light water and bad fungus and bacteria need to survive.
Oh.
The second thing it does is that if a bad fungus or bacteria already exists, it actually pops it or breaks it loose. It pops the cell walls.
Oh, interesting.
And then thirdly, it's above and below the ground. It helps reduce stress on the plant itself and increases the...
Whoop. Nope. Did we lose Andy? Man, I have to
I
call
think
him
we
right.
did.
You can also use it as a drench.
Hey, Andy. We lost you for a second, but and I'll I'll kind of pick you up where you left off, but we are going to take a break right now.
Right.
When we get back from break, we'll kind of rehash what Andy had mentioned, and then we'll start back over
Yeah,
again.
because it sounds like a good product.
Yeah,
It's like, like, what's next?
it was a cliffhanger.
Yeah, he said increases, and after increases,
Yeah.
we didn't hear what's getting increased.
That's a good tease. So
Right.
with that in mind, we're going to take a break for Biz Talk Radio. Do stay with us. We're going to come back with Andy from Fertilome. It is the weekend. Brian Main, John Bagnesco, Tiger Palafox here on Garden America. Stay with us. Okay, we have returned from the break. Those on Biz Talk Radio, thank you for tuning in. Those on Facebook Live. Questions, comments, you bet. Talking to Andy from Fertilome this morning. And before we were interrupted, well, first of all, we lost him for a few minutes, I shouldn't say a few minutes, a few moments. And then we took a break, but we do want to hear more, Tiger.
Yeah, you were talking about your product, Fungicide 5, Andy, in the 5 aspects of it. And you had mentioned the preventative aspect of it where it takes up space from the fungal disease issues. And then you mentioned how it will actually treat the issues where it pops the cell walls. And then you were getting into the third aspect of it when we kind of broke up a minute.
Sure, no problem. Yeah, so the third mode of action is above and below the ground. It helps reduce the stress in the plant and increases the plant's ability to recover from that stress. So that's the third mode of action. The fourth one, it colonizes the roots, creating a sheath that makes it impossible for bad fungus and bacteria to attack the roots. And then the fifth mode of action is if there's already bacteria or fungus on the roots, it will also, again, break up the cell walls of the bad fungus.
Okay.
So it does a lot of things. And so it's a natural product. Again, it's Bacillus amyloliquefaciens, and it's called Fungicide 5 from Fertilome, and it does all those things. And now you can use this in conjunction, or you can use it alternatively with copper fungicide. And that's a great way to control a lot of your garden diseases. And you can use it on vegetables, fruits, nuts, everything in your yard.
Now, you mentioned with the soil, and that was going to be one of my questions today, is because, with all the rain, a lot of people will have like root rot issues when it comes to plants. Mm-hmm. Is this a product that could help with that, or is that different? Is root rot issues a different problem?
No, actually, this does work on root rot. Okay. Again, like I said, it's a preventative and a curative biofungicide. So it will work on root rot.
I feel
we
like
got a couple of questions too. Go ahead, Tiger.
Oh, okay. So I was going to say, I feel like anybody that buys this should be a product that sits right next to the Pittosporum silver sheens.
I want to know why. Why isn't it a product that I can click on right this minute and just have at home when I get there?
Yeah, because anybody that buys Pittosporum silver sheens, out of 10 of the ones that you buy, you're going to have two or three of them are just going to die.
Yeah,
and it's because of the root rot issue. And it's a wonderful plant, but I can't plant it because it's not going to happen. So this is amazing. This is great to hear.
Yeah,
Andy.
Excellent.
Yeah, we will make sure to include. I will send you that link right now, John. Okay.
Hey, yes, please do. And Millie I think Millie's in Napomo, if I remember correctly. But she wants to know if, since you're putting this on the leaves and it's coating the leaves, does it interfere with photosynthesis?
No, it does not interfere with photosynthesis at all. It does not. And also, better yet, it also does not affect beneficial insects in your yard as well. It's very safe to use.
Oh, good.
Oh, this is great.
And then, what was the other one there, Brian? I had it
from
here.
Kim?
And I lost it. Oh, Kim wanted to know, she has a problem with cannavirus. And cannavirus...
Leaf rollers?
And leaf something. I'm trying.
I've got leaf rollers.
Okay. Leaf rollers?
Or rollers. ROLL.
Leaf rollers?
That's what she had. Yeah.
Like maybe they just like peach leaf curl. It curls and rolls.
No, there's insects that are leaf rollers. Maybe that's what she's talking about.
There is, actually.
Yeah. So she's in Tucson, Arizona, and I guess, canavirus I'm not familiar with, Tiger. Are you?
No, I don't know what she's referring to. Do you know anything?
Nor I. With cannas growing in Tucson, I wonder what time of the year that happens.
Yeah, maybe you can
elaborate a little bit.
Let us know what time of the year it happens.
Yeah, I mean, and being such a kind of a not a tropical plant, but semi-tropical plant too, it could be result from heat, as well. If the leaves are starting to curl within, how plants,
right,
do that automatically to try to shade themselves.
Yeah, I'm sure Kim really enjoys her home. If I lived in Tucson, I would move, but it's just too hot.
Yeah.
But there's times of the year where it's beautiful in Tucson. Spring and fall are fantastic.
Yeah, this time of the year, getting into the fall winter months.
Kim did mention that she cleans her pruning shears in between cuts, which would be good for not spreading virus. So that's one good thing. And sorry we can't be more specific there.
Yeah, that is always a good thing to do, is to clean your utensils between plants and things like that. So
and Tiger's got that link up on our page in the comments section.
Yeah, that's cool. Is that new, Andy? Or
yeah, we've had it now for a couple years. It's a new item for us. That particular product or strain of BA has been around for a while. But yeah, it's new for us, and we're trying to push it because it's a great. Using that in copper soap alternatively in your garden is probably the best way of controlling all your diseases in your yard without using a chemical or a synthetic product like old chlorthalonil, which we still have too. It's also another broad spectrum fungicide that you can use in your yard. That one happens not to be registered in certain states, but fungicide 5 and copper soap are very safe products to use in your yard and do a very stellar job on everything that you use. Use it on all kinds of plants and shrubs, vegetables, things like that. So.
Now I don't know. Excuse me. If you know any, you say that it's been around for a while, and I believe it because there's all these things that have been around, and we're finding out now how to use them properly, or little tidbits of information about what they actually can do. And you talked about BT, and that's been around for caterpillars forever, and then we shifted and pivoted over to the spinosad. And that has the fun story of the rum barrels and all of that kind of fun stuff. So does this bacteria, was this something found that has a neat story, or is this something
the
that
only information that I know, it's a naturally occurring soil microbe that was discovered in 1947. By who or from who, I don't know. But then it became a registered, biofungicide in 2011. The product does have about it is a bacteria, so it does have about a 3-year shelf life, stored at regular temperatures. So that's kind of a little bit of information I have on it, but who decide, because a lot of times chemicals will have a backstory from a scientist who discovered it, but I don't have that.
No, but that's crazy that they knew about it that long ago.
So long ago, I wasn't even born. That's how long ago that was.
Yeah. No, but it's neat because it's, we look at these problems like root rot issues and disease issues, and you don't have in nature giant swaths of land dying from rust, and it's because in nature they've found these ways, they found these protections. And we just need to find them to hopefully use them in a safe and natural way in our own yard to protect our plants if we have that same issue. Because, I mean, otherwise these problems would run rampant across the country.
Well, I wrote an article for the newsletter about planting California natives this time of year because it's a good time to get them in the ground. And there's a lot of root rot issues with some natives as if they're under irrigation or if the soils are too heavy. And I'm thinking specifically of the California lilac, the ceanothus, which you water it in the summer and it's dead. And I'm wondering how this product would work on some of those.
Be good to use.
And should you use it at planting time? So maybe when we come back, we can find a little bit more about that. And then Kim from Tucson, our buddy out there, has elaborated a little bit on the canna leaf roller, so we'll share some info on that when we come back.
Very good. Going to take a break for Biz Talk Radio. Those on Facebook Live, great comments, good questions this morning as we continue our conversation with Andy representing Fertilome. Great product. Tiger put a link on the Facebook page comments section as well, so be sure to check that out and support them. They're a great sponsor, good friends of ours here on Garden America. Biz Talk Radio, taking a break. Back after these messages. Very quick break. Those on Facebook Live, a bit longer on Biz Talk Radio. And, of course, on Biz Talk Radio, hopefully you heard the information on Fertilome as well. We continue. Happy weekend to you. Back with Andy from Fertilome, Brian Main, John Bagnesco, Tiger Palafox. As we continue, and, John, we want to elaborate on that comment on Facebook.
Yeah. First of all, I think we should find out from Andy if it is good to use this product at planting time. For some of the natives or some of the things that might be susceptible to root rots.
Yeah, it is. It's like I said, it's a biofungicide that you can use to prevent things. So like I said, it prevents all kinds of diseases in the ground or on the plant ahead of time before they do happen. So, like I said, you can use it as a spray. It's 1 teaspoon per gallon of water if you buy a concentrate bottle, and you can spray the plant, coats the leaves. It doesn't affect photosynthesis or the growth of the plant at all, but then it actually prevents it from funguses and diseases to attack the leaves, or it also cures any diseases that happen to be on the plant at the same time. And then as a drench, yes, you can drench the soil to do the exact same thing that you would to the plant above the soil.
That's really neat. And it, definitely want to use it as a preventer, because when something's dying of root rot, it's kind of like you look out there one day and you're like, ooh, that plant looks like I didn't water it. Maybe I'll go give it a little drink of water. And you might check the soil and see that it's wet and maybe not water it. But more often than not, you're like, oh, I'll throw a little bit of water on it. And then you come back the next day and it's dead. You're like, oh, man. But if you had used it preventative, you wouldn't have to have that issue.
Well, if you've got insects on a plant and you spray it, you can see that they're either there or they're not there.
Exactly.
But with the disease, sometimes you can't tell. You can't tell what's going on. So Kim in Tucson, Andy said that the canna leaf roller that she was talking about refers to 2 different Lepidoptera species that are pests of some cultivated cannas. Mm-hmm. So the caterpillars roll up in the leaves, and that's the one control she was looking for.
Oh, gotcha. So, we mentioned it a little bit. We have BT or spinosad that would control caterpillars. So that would be something that you have to spray it. Make sure you spray it both the underside and the top of the leaf, and where the leaf kind of rolls. That's sometimes where they'll hide, and you spray in there to control caterpillars. And that one's specific just to caterpillars. Spinosad will control caterpillars, but also another broad spectrum of insects as well.
And then I imagine that Kim would try to remember what times of the year those leaf rollers are really active.
Yeah.
Because
to be preventative.
Right, because once they roll the leaf up, maybe they're a little bit protected, right?
Yeah, they have to eat it, right, Andy?
You probably have to unroll. There's not really a preventative measure when it comes to insecticide on caterpillars. Usually you spray it when you see the caterpillars. It's just like tomato hornworms on tomatoes, cutworms, other things like that. Usually you'll see the effects on the plant to know, because they camouflage themselves. The caterpillars will turn the same color as the plant, and you won't notice them until you see the damage, and then you'll have to start to spray. There's not a lot to where you can prevent that from happening unless you know for sure it's going to happen, and then you can put maybe some spinosad on there that leaves a little bit of a residual on there to prevent that from happening. But other than that, you really got to wait till you see what's happening on the plant first.
Yeah, and they have to eat it, right, in order to be effective.
Yeah, they do. They have to eat it, and gives them an upset stomach.
Yeah,
and they're not able to digest or actually pass gas, and they actually kind of just blow up inside. So it's pretty graphic under a microscope. But,
yeah, I'm sure.
That's going to scare me the next time I have gas.
As mean as possible.
Yeah. Oh, eat your fiber.
Lenore wants to know the name of the product. And Lenore, if you're looking at your screen, it's the one in the upper right-hand corner right now. It's just to the right of Brian's head. And you can just click on, can you click on that? Is that a link?
No, that's just
okay, but you did put a link a little further up, right?
Yeah.
Is that the Fungicide 5 or the BT?
The link goes to the Fungicide 5,
right,
on the
yeah,
chat.
Fungicide 5. It's Fertilome Fungicide 5. You can go to fertilome.com and find it there, or on your link on your page as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a product you can find at any of your favorite independent nursery garden centers all across the country. And if they don't have it, ask for it.
It's funny, Andy, we start off this program wanting to chat about like the diseases and, problems, root rot issue problems on plants. And, you would think like, this product, that product. It seems like this product, there's nothing else to talk about in terms of a product, because it kind of seems like this kind of covers so many issues when it comes to disease. I mean, like you mentioned, copper soap, it's been around for a long time. Great product when it comes to disease issues on plants, okay? But you would never use copper soap to treat, root rot issues. You would not use it for that. And again, like, copper soap even, it does get used on a wide variety of plants, but there's even some plants I feel that are listed not to use that on, especially during certain times of year, where this product seems very safe to use, covers a wide variety of problems, and you can almost use anytime through the year. I mean, it's really neat that you guys went out and found a product like that for people, especially for homeowners that need something like that. They can't look at it and be like, oh, I can only apply it this time and got to wait for this to happen.
Or I need 2 or 3 products to cover the same thing.
Yeah, that's really neat.
No, it's a great all-around product to use, perfect for homeowners. Like I said, it comes in a concentrate. It also comes in a one that you can attach to the hose. And there's also a ready-to-use. So if you have a small yard or small garden, there's a little RTU bottle that you can use to spray on plants. So, there's different configurations there as well. That's awesome. It's a great product. We've been really happy with it in the last couple of years since our introduction, as well as copper fungicide. And then just from our tech lab, using that in alternatively with copper fungicide, you can really control so much in the garden without using a hardcore chemical in the yard. We have another product, too, and you guys are familiar with it. We've talked about it before, and that's Fertilome Triple Action.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Andy.
That's a pyrethrin product.
Andy, real quick, before we go into Triple Action much more, I want to make sure we take a break because, I know that we're going to just kind of start talking about a new product, or not a new, but another product right now. So we're going to take a break, and when we get back, we'll continue chatting with Andrew Dannenberger.
You betcha. Those on Biz Talk Radio News coming up here. And again, we are back at 6 minutes after. Hopefully your market carries the second hour as well. If not, you can always go to our Facebook page every single weekend. We kick things off at 8 o'clock on the West Coast, 11 o'clock Eastern time zone. You can interact, comment, and ask questions live with us on Facebook if you so desire. Back after the news, back after these messages on Biz Talk Radio. Welcome back to the show here on Garden America. Those on Biz Talk Radio, thank you for joining us. If you were with us the first hour, you're all caught up. If not, stay with us. We'll catch you up as quick as we can here on Biz Talk Radio. Those on Facebook Live, as we talk about a great product, great company, Fertilome. Andy is our guest this morning, Tiger, as we continue to roll. And now go from one product to the next.
Yeah, and I was cutting Andy off as he was describing the triple action because, again, I think that the triple action product you're going to mention, I mean, we were just talking about it, all-purpose, great thing to have in the gardener's shed for any problem. Triple action is definitely one of those products that everybody should own, Andy. So go ahead and tell us why.
Yeah, so triple action's been around for us for a long time nationally, and it's a pyrethrin neem product. It's called triple action because it does three things. It's a miticide, it's a fungicide, and it's an insecticide. And so it's pyrethrins and neem oil, and so it's also OMRI rated, just like the fungicide 5 as well. It's for organic use, and it controls both insects, mites, and prevents and controls some fungicides too. It's not as strong as the copper soap and or fungicide 5, but it's a good go-to for all-around basics in your yard.
Yeah, and again, kind of easy to use. Now, I didn't think to ask this on the fungicide 5 because I know definitely on the triple action, since it's an oil-based spray, that's you have to avoid applying it in the heat of the day. Is that same with the fungicide 5? This is an early morning or late evening kind of an application thing?
Yeah, so triple action pine neem, you would do it of spray early in the morning or late in the evening. For one thing, you want to do that to prevent from spraying on beneficial insects. But you want to do it in those times of day because it does have neem oil. Any product that has a kind of a little bit of an oil base to it, you don't want to do it when it's in the heat of the day or when it's warm, especially above 85 degrees. But you're absolutely right.
Hey,
I was just going to say Lila in Poway wanted to know where she could get, I think she's talking about the fungicide 5 in North County.
Do you guys sell Grangettos?
Yeah, so
Green Thumb?
in North San Diego County, there's a Green Thumb nursery in San Marcos.
Okay.
Okay, perfect.
I do know for there.
What about Walter Anderson?
Walter Anderson's in Poway.
Yeah.
If you don't have it, ask for it.
Yeah.
There you go. Just ask.
Just ask for it.
And then Tanya, I think she's talking about the triple action. Will it work on aloe mites in my greenhouses? And I know aloe mites are a difficult, very problematic plant, especially for a problem bug for us here in San Diego sometimes.
Yeah, it will work on all mites. Thing that I worry about there, she did mention in greenhouses. Yeah. It does not have a greenhouse label, and so it is for homeowner garden use. You can try it in your greenhouse, but it's not suggested. So I want to try to abide to the label as much as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, and in kind of the greenhouse issue, is that because of like what we talked about, like the heat and all of that? You got to be careful.
Ventilation, things like that. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Got it. Yeah, so I included the link here to the triple action. That is an excellent product for all-around problems
and
as
for
well.
her, she can maybe bring the plant outside and then treat it, treat a small part of it, see if she gets some results, and then kind of go from there. But it doesn't have a greenhouse label on it or for use in greenhouse.
Aloe mite's probably one of the worst insects to try to control.
Yeah.
And, I know commercially if they find aloe mites, they just destroy everything.
Just like, we'll start over.
Yeah, you really do.
But, hey, you got those people that like a challenge, right? So, Andy, anything else? Anything else as we kind of get into the winter time?
You guys are experts as well as I am too. As we go into wintertime, like I said in the beginning, we're going into fall. It's cleanup time from this past year. Clean up the old leaves and branches. It's almost pruning season coming up, so it's one of those things where you do your selective or your regular pruning on fruit trees and other deciduous type trees, and even we can talk about peach leaf curl a little bit. Copper fungicide is really famous for controlling peach leaf curl for the next year. So once that tree loses all of its leaves and you do that pruning, you can soak the branches with copper soap to prevent that from happening next year.
Hey,
so
real quick,
it's all of those kinds of things.
On that, I mean, it's named peach leaf curl, obviously, because definitely affects peaches.
Right.
But I mean, that's a problem for a wide variety of fruiting trees, Andy. Right. So,
right. Yeah.
So I thought it was just peaches and nectarines.
No, I thought it was also plums as well. No, it doesn't affect plums.
No,
not
okay.
so much.
I think
on
you
plums.
thought wrong.
It's mostly peaches and nectarines. Yeah.
Okay. So
Right.
just peaches and nectarines.
Yeah, John's right, I think.
Yeah.
Well, let me mark that.
He's all right. Yeah.
That
Give
if
him
you
a
haven't
win.
treated the tree, just to give an example, the leaves come out with these like reddish orangish kind of blisters on the leaves. They're kind of curly, and so if it hasn't been treated and that plant starts to leaf out, that's what it looks like, and then so the plant isn't able to bring in as much energy for it to grow its fruit later in the season. And so what you want to do is treat it with a fungicide, copper fungicide, to prevent that from happening.
Yeah. All right. And does it affect any ornamentals, John, or is it just because I feel like I've seen it on like other plants. You know what I mean? Like people need to treat other plants for peach leaf curl.
Well, there's a lot of plants that have galls that look like peach leaf curl.
Okay,
like Eugenia.
Yeah.
But it's not.
But it's not that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, or psyllids. There's a lot of psyllids out there that affect
same type of thing.
Eugenias and oleanders and things like that. And then the effect on the leaf from the insect looks the same as peach leaf curl sometimes. So one's a disease and one's an insect, actually. So
Cool. Good information.
Hey,
Anything else? Any other questions?
Lenore wanted to know, Andy, if you Fertilum ships products.
No, we don't. We don't ship direct at all. And so we're a company that sells through lawn and garden distribution, and we sell only to independent nurseries and garden centers all over the country. And so you would have to find your local independent nursery where you live. And if they don't have our products, ask for it. Most of the lawn and garden distributors that we have, we cover all, 49 states. And so you'll be able to find our products or ask for it at one of those nurseries, just depending on who they buy from. So, and that just kind of leads me to the fact that we are a company that supports, shop local, shop small, mostly. So we don't sell our products to mass merchants. So you'll never find any of our products in a publicly traded company. So we are in independents only.
Yeah, that's why I'm keeping my nursery small, Brian.
Yeah,
is because I want to sell the Fertilum products, and if I get too
a lot of people
big,
don't know the difference between shop small and shop local.
Yeah,
so it's all about taxes.
I think you could stick with the shop local tag. It doesn't necessarily have to be small.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, shop locally. You can shop local. I mean, there could be a big box chain store or a little chain store, in that local area.
Sure.
But it's all about the tax dollars. The tax dollars goes back to corporate. Where shopping small, all the tax dollars stay local.
All right. Hey, Andy, we are going to take another break, and we'll let you get going so you can enjoy your weekend. Thank you very much for the information. Thanks for sharing
really
the product.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
And a lot of good response on
welcome.
Facebook. We
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, and I'll make sure to keep sharing this information away. Have a great rest of the weekend, Andy.
All right, you too.
Thank you very much. You got it. All right. As we say, there he goes, John.
As we say. Do we have to take a break right now? I can't remember.
We've got about, I'd say, 40 seconds. We can keep some time.
I will say, and Andy was being very polite and diplomatic about the VPG products being shopped small. They are definitely a company that wants that to happen. But if you're listening, you can find the products online. There are some merchants that sell via Amazon,
right,
and other brands. I think there's like a home pest company that's like a huge seller of online products like this, and they sell it via their website.
And a lot of a lot of small retailers have online websites
right.
as well.
Shopping.
We're going to take a break for Biz Talk Radio. We're going to take a break, actually, for all of us here. That includes Facebook Live. Just a quick break on Facebook Live, John, because we know how anxious you are to get back to the show. Those on Biz Talk Radio, thank you so much. If you are tuned in on Biz Talk Radio, listen for the upcoming commercial break. And Fertilome, you'll hear one of their commercials a couple of 2 or 3 times during the show. With that in mind, here's the break coming up on Biz Talk Radio and Facebook Live. And we are back. And, John, you have good reason to feel that way.
Yeah.
Just following up on a little conversation there during the break. So here we are. We're back. Andy, great guest and a lot of knowledge. And I know that it struck a chord in a lot of people that are tuned in on Facebook Live and Biz Talk Radio.
Now, I was going to ask John because, obviously roses. And I know you do not treat your plants for a lot of things. Like, you're just kind of like, hey, if they work, they work. You're not huge into treating for aphids. You're not huge. Are there any diseases that you're like, oh, I see that on my rose and I'm going to treat it? Like black spot or because, for mildew and, rust, they'll kind of go away with time.
There's one disease that kills a rose quickly, like within 2 or 3 weeks, the whole plant's
that you
dead.
need to treat immediately.
Right, once you see it, but I don't know if his product works on it, but from the way he's describing it, it's something I would try. The stems on the rose begin to turn black at the top, and then they go straight to the base of the plant, and the whole plant's dead.
What is that?
And there's
disease?
nothing you can do to stop it.
Do you know what the disease is?
No, I don't think anyone does.
Oh, no. Okay, so it's
Sometimes
like
they call it
Black Death.
Black Death.
So once you see the black, it's too late.
Well, you can, if you catch it soon enough, you can cut way below it.
I was going to say, because it
sometimes
does
all
work
the way to the bottom.
It works its way down as you
Yeah, but
Wow.
But I'll cut back to a green part, and I'll look at the part that I've cut, and I see a little black in there.
Yeah.
So once it's infiltrated that rose.
Rosarians call it Zeus's curse.
Yeah. It's not Montezuma's revenge, because we know what that is.
That starts from the bottom and works its way up.
That's good, Tiger. That's very good. You see Carla's question, John, about...
Is there going to be a fall rose auction? No, there's
not. This year.
It's going to be in the spring, next April.
Which makes sense. It's spring.
It
Everything's
does.
coming up roses, right?
I was going to say, it looked a lot prettier when they did it in the spring, right?
Yes.
Because you saw everything. I mean, you guys do a great job of the fall auction. You're right. And there was still a lot to see.
Now, would that mean,
Well,
John...
things look good the fall that we did with Marion Ross.
You guys know they did.
No,
they do.
You're right.
But spring is such a...
Does that mean that
bigger.
more of the roses we auction off will be in bloom, necessarily?
Oh, yes.
You think so?
Probably
right.
so.
Okay. Instead of saying, well, here's what it's going to look like in the spring.
Like, and here's the plant.
Right.
Beautiful plant, green leaves.
By the way, Carla says this might be the last show she listens to for a while because she's going to Kona.
Oh,
Yes, she is.
Right.
enjoy.
And I'm not going to Kona until January.
Kona's the place. How come we're not going with you? Why didn't you call us up and say, you guys...
I told you why I was going, because I bought $62 tickets.
Exactly, because he was trying to keep it a secret.
That's like bus fare to San Francisco.
Jeez. I can't even go to dinner for less than that now.
Oh, my gosh.
Somebody-
Somebody on YouTube took a bunch of groceries, put them in a shopping cart, and they had the price of the groceries from 2003.
Oh, yeah.
And he says, okay, let's shop for the same groceries now in 2023. So in 2003, the total came to $83. Wow. In a good size shopping cart.
Yeah.
Today, $190. Wow. The same items.
Oh, well. We went to took the grandkids to the wild animal park.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
How'd that turn out?
Lunch, $85.
Yes.
Oh, my
Yes.
gosh. And First of all, let me say that I love the Wild Animal Park, and the area that I was telling you at the beginning of the show that we planted.
Right.
A lot of inspiration came from the Wild Animal Park.
Super cool landscapes there.
Yeah.
We've had a good relationship with them for a long time.
Right. However, the food was virtually inedible.
Oh gosh,
$85 worth of inedible food.
Totally, I agree with you. Same with the zoo. Like,
What are they doing? It's
yeah.
Well, I know what they're doing.
But it's expensive. Why not make it good?
Yes, right. I agree with you. No,
because people are
same
hungry.
experience,
It's
right.
not just a sidebar. You go there, you're going to eat.
Yeah,
So-
you're walking around all day. You're hungry. Yeah, make the food good, but it's
like
cafeteria food. They have a few restaurants.
It's not even as good as cafeteria
But
food.
at the zoo, they have restaurants. They have some restaurants, and they're
Right.
pretty good food.
And there was one at the Wild Animal Park, and that's where we ate.
Oh, did
Yeah,
you?
you said
Because
yeah.
I thought you were just eating at one of their little concession
no.
food things.
We sat down, and it was $85. Jesse had this giant plate of nachos that was horrible.
Oh man.
I had a pulled pork sandwich that I couldn't eat.
You got to be
My
careful.
grandson ate chicken tenders,
Yeah. Yep.
which are like chicken nuggets, and he ate them all but one, but everybody else tasted them, and it's like,
So bad.
I can't even swallow this. It's
Well,
so bad.
I hope you got $85 worth of cuttings then for your new succulent.
No, I didn't get it. No cuttings, but I did get some good ideas. And
That's
by the way,
cool.
the bonsai display there is phenomenal. Have you seen that recently?
not.
It's near on your way to Condor Ridge.
Okay. No, I haven't.
Man, you know what I
Condor
saw
Ridge.
for the
Okay.
first time? I actually saw I'm trying to think of what the plural is. Platypuses?
Oh yeah.
Platypi.
Platypi?
I don't know.
Yep.
But
No.
But they have the only two that are anywhere in the world outside of Australia.
Oh, that's cool.
really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
that
I've seen them.
But you could see them swimming underwater and stuff. And
Super cool.
Platypus is a combination of about 4 or 5 different animals put
Yeah.
together.
Beaver, duck,
Duck,
otter,
otter, yes.
and
rattlesnake. Well, they're poisonous.
that's right. They are.
They are.
They are. Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
it's like
and
leftover
marsupial,
parts, right?
And chicken, because they lay eggs, right?
Do they? I don't
Yeah.
know that.
The only marsupial, or
That
the
lay
only
eggs.
mammal that
Mammal
lays eggs.
Yeah,
Wow.
so it's like God took a bunch of spare parts,
And so
threw it
that
together.
could be snake too, because snakes lay eggs. So
and
yeah,
some,
you got
and some snakes
you got
give birth live too.
beaver, duck, octopus, or
Not otter.
no, otterpus, and snake. There you go.
Yeah,
That was
that's interesting. Are you looking at?
Well, John wants
Yeah,
to
go
know
ahead.
about bagrata bugs. Do you know about them? It's a recent infestation.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people in the Rose Society have had the same problem. And I don't know if we've had them in North County, at least out by me. I haven't seen them. But I've had people on Coronado tell me how bad they were. And anyway, he wants to know the best way to control those. My guess would be that triple action.
Yeah. On the Integrated Pest Management website, it says pyrethrin-based products, and Triple Action is one of those pyrethrin-based also. So, yeah, there's a few things. It seems like, yeah, they can be controlled with that. That is something that is kind of like I've had people ask me about it because, like you're saying, they've came and they said, I've got this problem, and
Right.
we've talked about it, but it's not everywhere.
Right.
It's
Not yet, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like different spots, different pockets.
But John
Now-
says that his kale got it within 1 week completely infested.
Now
we got to take a
what's-
break, Tiger.
Okay.
Hold that thought. Taking a break for our friends on Biz Talk Radio to stay on time. So, of course, do stay with us. Questions, comments as we continue further on Facebook Live. You're invited to do so. Thank you for tuning in. Facebook Live, Biz Talk Radio. This is Garden America. All right, we have returned from the break. It is good to see you on Facebook Live and good to hear from you, those on Biz Talk Radio, the Biz Talk Radio Network covering this great country of ours, John, and of course Facebook Live covering not only this country but around the world, as we do hear from time to time those from Europe and various places that listen to the show.
When we had callers, we got a call from Australia a couple times.
I wonder what that person is. Yeah, and it was a live call too, because it was the next day in the middle of the night, and if it was summer here, it was winter there.
Right. Yeah, today's already tomorrow in Australia, and I remember him saying is that there's no point in me calling you anymore because I already know what you're going to say.
Yeah, exactly. That whole international date line really confuses everybody. Now what?
Yeah. Well, I was looking into the Bagrada bug, and I was wondering, and it makes sense that within a week they were already there because they are a bug that focuses on that very germinating, tender new growth. And one of the biggest problems is they attack plants at the seedling stage.
Wow, get them,
and that's what then
get them young
causes the problems later on. I guess it has something to do with they eat specific parts of the plant, and then the plant, like for instance, like kind of flower later on, or something like that, and they'll even affect if you put seeds in the ground as well. So there are definitely those plants or bugs that if you're doing seedlings or you're starting plants from seed, you got to be real careful with. And kind of like other issues we were talking about, John, with the diseases and stuff, is you have to watch it because at a seedling stage, it could be one day and it could die. It's such a little baby plant that you have to check on them regularly in order to make sure they survive that period of time. So
we mentioned that triple action would probably take care of them. Can that be used on vegetables?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The other thing that I wanted to mention, I didn't know because Andy had kind of hit the root rot issue, but we talked about just soil management, and they have their humic product, which is really good for just improving soil life. And I think that in line with you say you planted the hillside, you amended a little bit the spots that you just planted, and things like that. Like that's another good product to put in when you're transplanting because it just helps amend the soils for you. So therefore, when you start off, if you can avoid your root rot, if you give it a little bit of amended soil to just make the plants hold moisture more and hopefully have some nutrients to tap into, this is going to be the best time for planting for Southern California. I mean, you mentioned, John, the natives thing, and they can be very fickle when planting.
Right.
There are some that you just drop on the ground and they just start to grow. But there are some that are the hardiest plants ever, Matilla hot poppy, but for some reason you go to plant that and it's going to battle you every time. So that's where, using these products maybe can help you be a bit more successul.
Yeah, I left mine in the ground because you said that it might come up, but
never did.
Then I had somebody come and hula ho the hill, and I think whatever was left of it is gone.
Yeah. Do you have some of them on your property, don't you? Don't you have some Matilla hot poppies?
No.
Down there? I thought you did.
No.
I thought I remember seeing some. No.
You must be thinking of castor beans.
Yeah. Yeah,
Boy, those have been hard to get rid of.
Yeah.
Lila wants to know if the rose auction will take place prior to April 21st when we're going to Costa Rica. The answer is yes.
Yeah.
It'd be hard to have the auction while we're in Costa Rica.
No,
we could do it from there.
Easy.
We could do it live.
Nowadays, Wi-Fi connection.
Yeah.
Piece of cake. John, we can't even get a projector to work in the studio.
and it boils down to one thing, the one last thing we can't do.
Yeah.
Everything else works.
Yeah.
Carla was having trouble
typing.
It's like, have you had your coffee, Carla?
No, she's thinking about Hawaii. She's thinking about Kona.
It could be, and I don't blame her. She did mention she accidentally put a sad face up, and she apologized because she meant to put a happy face, right? And then she misspelled the word, and then tried to correct the word. And
oh my goodness!
So that happens, and we understand. Brian said he was very close to blocking you, Carla, but
with the sad face.
But Carla, don't worry because Brian did earlier in the program call me Tyler Pala.
No, I called you Tiger. It
No,
was
you
the
said
Palafox.
Tyler.
Did I say well, maybe you ought to go with it.
There's nothing wrong with Tyler.
Tyler.
Yeah.
Right.
Tyler Pala. What was it? Pala.
Well, I stumbled over the whole
something.
Palafox thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that does happen, especially live. We can't go back and redo it.
Nope.
It's live. It's
It's
out there.
there. It's
like
done.
TV back in the late 40s, early 50s. You're live. Whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. Just roll with it.
You want a quote of the week?
No, I thought about it earlier, and
Yes, thought you'd pass.
I think people are just tired of it.
Well, you know what?
Yes, actually, this would be great because a lot of people who tune in this time
Never get to hear the
never
quote
get
of
to
the
hear it. So I think, John, this is
But it's always in the newsletter, and you can
Sure.
just go to gardenamerica.com and subscribe to the newsletter. You'll get it every week.
you better do that.
Yeah.
Just go to gardenamerica.com. And while you're there, John, signing up for the newsletter, sign up for Costa Rica. You can go to Costa Rica with us.
No, you can't.
You can't?
Aren't we sold out?
No, we're not sold out.
We're not.
We're not sold out yet. No, there's still plenty of time,
Gotta
but you
let
better
people
hurry.
know. Yeah.
So go to gardenamerica.com for Costa Rica and the newsletter. Now, if you have the newsletter in front of you, while John is reciting it, recite it along with him at home. You
By
can
the way,
play along with us at home.
The quote's from William Blake,
Billy Blake.
as you like to call him. William Blake also wrote The Tiger, right? Tiger burning bright in the darkness
Yeah, that
of
is
the night.
William Blake.
Speaking
Yeah.
of Palafox,
Yeah. Tiger mosquitoes. Tiger.
Oh,
you've had a
you know-
great day today, haven't you?
People have mentioned that they've noticed a lot of tiger mosquitoes, and I whenever we have visitors, I always say we don't have mosquitoes. Well, we've been getting bitten by mosquitoes
Yeah.
the last few weeks.
Yeah.
It's because we had
They're the little
water.
tiny ones. Are those the tiger mosquitoes?
The ones with the stripes on them.
I know they have
kinda
stripes
they
on
kind
them,
of
but
roar. They
these
kinda
are
roar.
these are tiny.
Yeah, they are tiny.
You
are
so
right.
quit standing in water, John. Standing water.
Just standing there.
Okay. Anyway, William Blake said the tree which moves some to tears of joy is in the eyes of others only a green thing that stands in the way. Some see nature all ridicule and deformity, and some scarce see nature at all. But to the eyes of the man of imagination, nature is imagination itself.
Wow.
There's a lot to
Well,
dissect.
lot to
there's a
think
lot.
about.
There's a lot.
Lot to
It's not as
dissect.
catchy as Tiger Burning Bright,
But
but a lot
still
to
a lot
think of.
about.
Remember last week when I mentioned, or the week before, how I'll clean up the front of the yard or the patio or some kind of semi-public place, and I expect people that walk by it to say, "Hey, good job! I noticed that you swept up, you trimmed that tree,
Nobody
you did
says
that." Nobody
anything.
says a word because, as gardeners, as people who get into this sort of thing, we see detail.
Yeah.
It's like, did you notice that? Remember how leggy that plant was? Look what I did. What'd you do? I don't see anything.
Yeah.
What do you mean leggy? So kind of that quote kind of fits into that realm a little bit.
And it's funny the description of how two people can see the same tree differently.
Right.
Okay. One person can see the tree and the beauty, and you don't want to save it, you want to preserve it, the effort that it took to do what it's doing, and that's bring you to tears. And then another person just sees it in the path of the
Right.
it's in their way.
It's in the way.
And
I want to put a building there.
and-
I got to get rid of the
And
tree.
it drops all these berries.
Well, okay, so I was in Michigan this past summer.
Right.
Okay. Near Pebble Beach area. Is that just called Pebble Beach, the community?
Well, you're talking about California.
Yeah. Monterey coast and stuff.
Right,
I
Pebble
know
Beach.
that there's a lot of communities along the coastline there that will not allow you. You can build your home, but you can never remove a tree.
Good.
So they make you place homes on your property within wherever you have. So when you buy land, you have to think about, where is my home going to sit? Because I can't clear trees to make my home here, right? Okay, that's one way to think about it. When we were in Michigan, beautiful homes along Lake Michigan. And I talked to the person who we were staying with, and I go, wow, like these trees go all the way down to the lake. It's absolutely gorgeous. Do they protect like that view? Do they protect, do they tell you can't remove these trees? Because in California, people would just clear the trees. I want to see the lake.
Yeah.
Don't obstruct my view. And they're like, no, people just leave them. We don't really care so much and do that kind of a thing. And I'm like, that's just, just way different a perspective.
Yeah, sure.
They don't mind being in the trees they love it. In California, we want to clear it so we can see as far as our eye can see, and the tree is in our way.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Did you notice there were more trees in Michigan than California?
Yes, yeah. So we have to preserve every tree in California.
Yeah.
We got to take a break. Biz Talk Radio break, a quicker break on Facebook Live. And John says he's going to use that quote in his next letter to the HOA when they want to remove another tree.
Well, there you go.
Yes, indeed. Back after these messages on Biz Talk Radio. All right, we have returned from that quick break on Facebook Live, a bit longer on Biz Talk Radio. Thank you for supporting our sponsors on Biz Talk Radio.
You know, when my daughter was here last week...
fun show.
Yes.
It was a fun show. We talked about some different ways of gardening, right? And the way you approach your garden. You know, she was into textures and colors. And even yesterday she made the comment to me when I said, well, what about we just put this here? And she said, I can't do that. I only do beautiful.
you know, though, that's a chip off the old block.
I love it. Yeah.
That's something John might say in some other realm.
John's family is quick.
Yeah.
All of his kids
Well,
are
she was
quick.
talking about last week, colors. I understand colors, but then she got into textures and how this doesn't go with this, and you need white here. And that's why she's like an interior decorator, but for the outside.
But that started me thinking when we were planning that garden that there's trends in everything, really. But there's trends in landscaping.
Sure.
And my feeling is that you should plant what makes you feel good, and not make the mistake of getting involved in environmental activism. Because gardeners have a tendency to do that, to think that their way is right, and we're going to do this, and it has to be done my way, or you can't have it at all. And that's just silly. It's stupid. You know, right now we're into planting California natives. Mm-hmm. If you want to plant California natives, that's fine. If you want to mix California natives with other plants, that's fine too. And if you don't want California natives, because you don't, if you wanted a California landscape, you could plant your house or build your house in the middle of chaparral and don't do any landscaping.
Mm-hmm. No, I get it.
So even though natives grow well in the area that they're in, you know, if you want to do it, fine, but don't become dogmatic about it and say you have to do it this way or you can't live in the state. And it's sad that people are like that. You know, there's destroy your lawns, get rid of lawns.
Mm-hmm.
And for why? It makes no sense.
Well, you'll notice we have nice lawns around the property here if you go back around the corner.
Yeah.
And once a week they're out there mowing, and it smells good, freshly cut lawn.
It's cool.
And this is a, this is a public building, privately owned, but public. And they could very easily put in, what do you call it now?
Front. I mean, what you have in the front.
AstroTurf. What do we call it now, John? Just
synthetic turf.
It's a synthetic turf, yes.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, look at and not to get, again, like we're trying not to be political about it, but be open-minded in the sense of that area in the back. I know what you're talking about. It's actually very cool.
It is cool.
And when you go back there, like it helps. Like your building here is glass walls, right? And when it's the heat of the day, it gets hot.
It's
and
between two buildings, and you're right, it's cool.
And when you walk up to the front of the building now that doesn't have lawn anymore, and they put rock and what was it, cotoneaster and some like succulents or something like that. Just very low water, shrubby plants, but
a dry landscape.
Yeah, it's very dry landscape. It's very hot walking up to your building now. So the cool lawn helped to some degree.
Absolutely.
But so
and we have in the HOA, our property, there's lawns everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Everywhere. Yeah. So there you go.
And I know this will get me in trouble politically, but we already started down the road. The reason for ripping out your lawn is to conserve water.
Right.
Virtually nothing you do to conserve water will help the water in the state.
Yeah.
I mean,
the percentage is so low as far as really
right,
at
and
the-
especially in San Diego County, where we have no water problems ever, and
Yeah.
we only go on restrictions because the state goes on restrictions. And I could see if we could send water north, but we can't.
Well, they
So-
also store water too.
Yeah. And I, you can go on the California State website, but I believe that, and I could be wrong, but I think I'm close, that all residential water consumption in the state of California is less than 11%.
Yeah, it's
sounds
very
about
low.
right,
It's very low.
right,
I know you're.
And of that percentage, even a smaller amount's going to landscape.
Correct.
So you have
Because,
maybe
like you're saying, like that's residential. That's your showers. That's your
Right. Drinking
bath,
water,
That's your
yeah.
drinking water. Yeah.
yeah, washing your car, anything.
Yeah.
So
Clothes. Yeah.
clothes, yeah.
Yeah, clothes, sure.
Yeah.
But you still beat your clothes on a rock down by the river, don't you?
Yeah, but I've got a river closer to me than
Yeah,
you do.
True.
that's tough for you.
It's convenient.
Yours is like a stormwater runoff. I wouldn't wash my clothes in that.
I'll quit doing that. All right, guys, we have a couple of minutes here until we wrap things up.
Now, Lila makes a point, and she says, but it does help with the water bill.
That is true.
That's true. And if you want to
that's
not
the
spend your
motivation,
money on
yes.
water, then yes, put in lower water or have areas.
Yeah.
You can have, like I think we're going to put a lawn in at our house,
But it's going to be a small.
just in the back of the house,
Right.
a small area for some green.
Because you like to take your shirt off and roll around in the lawn and get itchy, right?
He loves that.
I don't like the itchy part.
Really?
But rolling around.
Yeah, rolling around is fun.
We'll put
By the way,
we'll put some grass down the slope so you can just roll down.
Here's
the
a
hill.
question: does all species of grass make you itch?
No.
Certain kind, just what? Like,
Yeah.
because when we were a kid, everybody who had grass, we itched.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
You know what? I never, growing up in Michigan, I never had trouble itching on grasses. So maybe it's like Bermudas. Or,
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I was gonna say.
it's tall fescues are the itchiest. So tall, fescue is the itchiest. Bermuda and annual ryegrasses, they don't make you itch, at all.
What about St. Augustine?
And then St. Augustine will. But I will say, so itching is kind of like the
We've got a minute, so go
like
ahead.
a poison ivy, poison oak situation. Some people can go through poison oak and not be affected. Some people go through poison oak and have a very severe reaction. That's the same with the lawn stuff, though. It's an allergy, and some people are more affected than other people. But,
So we'll leave you on that note.
yeah, roll
Grass
around.
Talk with Tiger Palafox. That's going to do it, guys.
What?
Yes, that's it.
I thought we were just having a break.
I
Quick
know.
break.
We all have things to do.
Let's come
Thank
back
you
next
for
week,
tuning
Brian.
in. Biz Talk Radio. Those on Facebook Live, we love you all. Thank you for supporting our show. Go to gardenamerica.com, subscribe to the newsletter. Check out Costa Rica, April 20th through the 29th, 2024. And from there, we'll see what else happens. Thank you for tuning in. We'll do it again next week. Have a great weekend. Be safe. And until then, we sang Get Growing America. John, you want to go back to that? Get Growing America?
I like the sound of that.
Okay, let's do it. Get Growing America. Take care.